It's 74 degrees in San Jose at 5:20. Kissinger gets Senate resolution of support. A police search continues for a sniper who shot Union City's police chief. And a mighty tidy story makes the news. Those stories and more upcoming. I'm Robin McGovern for KLIV. The Senate passed a resolution today describing Kissinger's integrity and veracity as above reproach. But the House Judiciary Committee rejected a proposal for a public hearing tomorrow to declare its confidence in Kissinger. Chairman Peter Rodino ruled out of order the motion on the grounds that the committee lacks jurisdiction. A former National Security Council staff member filed suit today, claiming his telephone was unconstitutionally tapped. William Lake named Nixon, Henry Kissinger, and the telephone company as defendants. Senator Barry Goldwater took to the Senate floor today and called for an end to what he calls the abuse, innuendos, and accusations against Secretary of State Kissinger. Governor Ronald Reagan says comments about Henry Kissinger's possible involvement in ordering illegal wiretapping could prove detrimental to foreign affairs.
Well, they certainly can't help. It must be quite a problem for someone. When you think of those 32 days of back and forth between Israel and Syria and those delicate negotiations, they're privy to all the news of the world, and if the man that's coming back on the following day to negotiate, if they believe that he's being undercut in his own country, they have to wonder, well, can we believe his assurances? Can we believe that what he is telling us will happen will happen?
The subject of news leaks occupies the attention of House Judiciary Committee Chairman Peter Rodino. Rodino called the caucus of committee Democrats to consider making public its impeachment-related evidence against President Nixon. Committee members say Rodino appears to be favoring the idea of publishing the secret evidence because he feels news leaks have threatened the integrity of the committee's impeachment investigation. All the evidence thus far has been presented to the committee in closed hearings. President Nixon received the most lavish welcome of his life in Cairo today as he opened his five-nation visit to the Mideast. Egyptian President Anwar Sadat hosted an elaborate banquet in the gardens of King Farouk's palace and then gave Nixon Egypt's highest honor, the Grand Color of the Nile. John Ehrlichman's trial to go on after all. That story next.
Well, when I use Onion Silky, my hair definitely feels cleaner. It shines and it looks like it was just washed, even if it's the second day.
You're listening to Kirsten Allard on the phone for Long and Silky.
A federal judge has indicated that John Ehrlichman's trial in the Ellsberg break-in case may now go ahead as scheduled, thanks to a White House decision to waive executive privilege on evidence Ehrlichman subpoenaed. Judge Gessel said this afternoon that a substantial change in the White House position had eased the looming crisis. He said it now seems that Ehrlichman can still be tried with his three remaining co-defendants, though the trial may have to be delayed a few days beyond its scheduled starting date of next Monday. A San Jose barber is under arrest on charges of slitting the throat of a man with a straight-edge razor. Listed in critical condition from the wound is 27-year-old Francis Lampkin. Police in San Jose are holding 39-year-old Jose Lozano for investigation of attempted murder. Police say the slashing did not occur in the barber chair, but took place when the two men got into a quarrel after a drinking bout together. Police search for a sniper who shot Union City Chief of Police William Cann and four others. A 32-year-old police chief, Cann, is in a hospital in critical condition, but the other four victims were not seriously wounded. The shooting occurred last night in the hall of Holy Rosary Catholic Church in Union City. A half-dozen shots were fired through a window as Cann spoke with about 50 citizens attending a meeting aimed at easing the tense relations between police and Mexican Americans. Union City is a sprawling community on the southeast side of San Francisco Bay, and about 4,000 of its 27,000 population are Mexican Americans. An FBI official says that all the crackpots between Canada and Mexico, able to hold a pen and draw a seven-headed cobra, are getting into the act. The mails are being flooded with fake letters about the Symbionese Liberation Army. The FBI official, who declined the use of his name, says the SLA Cobra symbol keeps popping up, including one on a letter to a Los Angeles radio station which says kidnapped heiress and SLA member Patty Hearst is dead. As far as the FBI is concerned, as far as we know, she is very much alive. The Zebra case informer escaped protective custody and was not recaptured for 8 days. Police today disclosed that Anthony Harris, his wife and baby, fled from a guarded barracks room at Fort Baker in Marin County by knotting bed sheets and sliding down from a second-story window. They were found yesterday at a home in Los Angeles. Testimony from Harris led police to charge 4 black men in the San Francisco Zebra slayings. A San Jose firm is charged with fraud in New York State. Named in papers filed in Manhattan Supreme Court is Bestline Producers Incorporated, also known as Bestline Products International and Bestline Incorporated of San Jose. The California San Jose company is charged with fraud for telling the public they can strike it rich by buying and then selling to others door-to-door soap distributorships. Representatives for striking nurses and 41 affected hospitals resumed contract talks this afternoon. They announced they will negotiate non-stop until they reach either a settlement or the talks break down. The 6-day-long nurses' strike has crippled health care at private hospitals in the San Francisco Bay Area. Legislation aimed at increasing the salaries of highway patrolmen was unanimously approved today by the Assembly Ways and Means Committee. The bill by Assemblyman Willie Brown of San Francisco was sent to the floor on a 19-0 vote. The legislation would take control of the salaries out of the hands of the State Personnel Board, and it would make highway patrolmen's pay the average of those paid to L.A., San Diego, Oakland, and San Francisco police departments. Legislation permitting the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit to be increased to 65 miles an hour on some rural freeways and highways today narrowly cleared the Assembly Ways and Means Committee. The bill by Assemblyman Robert Badham of Newport Beach was sent to the floor on an 11-6 vote. That's the bare minimum required. And it was opposed by the California Automobile Association, which said it was premature. And also it was opposed by Assemblyman John Vasconcellos of San Jose. A federal crime official said today about a dozen San Francisco police officers may be indicted by a federal grand jury investigating organized crime. He is Thomas Kotosk, chief of the Justice Department's Organized Crime Strike Force in San Francisco. And he said the officers may be indicted in connection with a grand jury probe of corruption in San Francisco's North Beach and Tenderloin areas. The few remaining votes from the June 4th primary were counted this morning in Santa Clara County, and it was enough to make a difference in one of the local races. The final count shows that the bond issue in the Wisman School District in Mountain View has passed by one measly vote. It was thought that the bond issue had failed, but today's count of the few remaining votes showed that the bond issue passed by that very one-vote slim margin. In the race for C3 of the San Jose City Council, Nick Lickwar today increased his lead over Claire Benson to officially qualify him for the runoff. Now you'll have to follow this story very carefully. Tidy Didy won a Superior Court suit over Didy Wash. That's that Tidy Didy could advertise itself as Tidy Didy, even though Didy Wash didn't like Tidy Didy doing such a flighty-didy thing. It all began last month when Didy Wash filed suit to keep Tidy Didy from advertising itself as Didy Tidies in the Bay Area. Tidy Didy being from Sacramento and Didy Wash from the South San Francisco area. Didy Wash complained that Tidy Didy Diaper Service would Tidy Didy up all the profits if Tidy Didy could advertise itself as Tidy Didy near the Didy Wash. After attorneys fighted the suit in court and Tidy Didy won, Didy Didy's attorneys reportedly said that Tidy Didy's attorney did a mighty Didy thing by winning. And by the time I finish this story, I'm about as confused as you are. But just remember that Tidy Didy Diaper Service won over Didy Wash, which rather cleans up the whole mess, doesn't it? KLIV News Time is 5:29. Dan Ruby Sports is next.
Hey, what do you want when you buy a car, huh?
And now in KLIV Sports Reports, to pick up where Dan Ruby left off, top-seeded Chris Evert surged into the semifinals of the $200,000 French Open Tennis Championships today with a 6-0, 7-5 victory over Julie Heldman of Houston. In the women's quarterfinal, West Germany's Helga Mastov beat Czechoslovakia's Martin Navratilova 7-6, 6-3. And Manuel Orantes of Spain and Frenchman Francois Joffre advanced to the men's semifinals. The Chicago Cubs routed the San Francisco Giants 10-1 today as Rick Rochelle scattered 10 hits. Jose Cardinal, Bill Madlock, and Dave Rossello each drove in 2 runs for Chicago. Giant starter Tom Bradley was knocked out in the 4th after giving up 8 hits and 5 runs. He lost his 6th game in 12 starts. The National Hockey League awarded 2 more expansion franchises to Seattle and Denver today for the 1976-77 season, and that development caused the Western Hockey League to suspend its operations. And girls, listen to this. Little League officials announced today that it will defer to the changing social climate and ask Congress to change its charter to allow girls to play in their program. Girls will be able to play in Little League games. It'll be a rather confident Jack Nicklaus who tees off in the opening round of the U.S. Open in Mamaroneck, New York tomorrow. Nicholas, who once again approached the tournament with meticulous preparation, says his swing feels good for the first time this year. Santa Clara Valley weather fair through tomorrow. Highs expected to be in the mid-70s. On the beach in Santa Cruz, it will be overcast late night and mornings, but otherwise clear during the afternoon, with temps in the mid-70s. Currently, it's 74 degrees at KLIV Studios. I'm Robin McGovern for KLIV.